No, yeah, for sure.
I made kind of a, if you were to say a last minute announcement on some information that I had, and basically that was, the BitCon 2019. That, in fact, they had a volunteer meeting, and before that, some brother sent me an email saying that there was like maybe 3-4 tickets. So I don't know if everybody got that email, but I hope they paid heed to that email. So every time I send an email, it's going to be about something important. But I sent an email basically saying that they had a ticket giveaway. Then I got an email saying that they needed volunteers. Now, one of my classes, I believe last year, there was a sister that went up there, and she started doing some volunteering. And you kind of get in. I don't think you really got to pay once you do some volunteering there. And it may be something, they may just want you to hand out cards or wherever they need help. I mean, it's a real big conference. It's huge. So I sent that information out to everybody. So you got to just check your emails a couple times a day. I always send stuff. There was a couple new positions as well. And since we're on the line, hopefully everybody will look at this video. But we got some information back from the 4 resumes we sent to our directors, and Kamisha, she's not on the line right now, but one of the IT directors said that Kamisha's resume looks good, and the only comment or question that he has is her needing some information on an objective. If she's trying to transition into a network engineer role, if she's looking to manage or lead folks in that space, using her experience, it may help to indicate that. Then Floyd, he's at the Bit Conference volunteer meeting in downtown Minneapolis right now. He said that Floyd may need a little more work on the resume. He said, great team worker is not a skill. Neither is reliable or hard worker. Those descriptions are more applicable to a summary or objective describing how those attributes may be used in fulfilling an objective. Is Floyd planning to apply for an IT-related job? If so, somewhere on the resume has to reflect exposure to IT, even if it is through the training received. This may need some more creativity in the objective. Perhaps something like, would like to use my recent training in XXX validated by certifications in XXX to contribute to a team using my leadership and XXX experience. So that XXX will be whatever that figure might represent, how many years or whatever the case it may be. As a hard worker and historically great team player, I believe I can engage effectively on a team. Being a quick learner, I am confident that I can provide value in a very short period. Okay, so that is from our director. So now we're going to need to get resume review information from you, Caesar, and also Gabby. So once those guys review that, then they'll give an honest opinion on what they think about y'all's resumes. Now, the next thing I want to say is I happen to see that there was a help desk position with Thomson Reuters for $22 an hour. I think this was something that I've seen before a couple weeks ago. Also, there was a business system analyst position for $40 an hour in Richfield, Minnesota. And the experience they were looking for is an IT ticketing process, Windows and Unix, ServiceNow or Remedy or Sharewell or BMC, security vulnerability management experience, IT patching process experience, strong writing skills, process-oriented, support the completion of vulnerability management, monitor shared mailboxes, track remediation. It's supposed to be a 15-month contract with a possible extension, $40 an hour. I don't think this is a really hard role to do. You know, if you had some ticketing experience, we'll do a little bit of Unix, which is Linux in here, through the command line. And I might even start up a virtual machine just to kind of just run through it real quick tonight. I'm not sure, but that was one position that came through. Then some lady sent me a help desk position, a level 1 help desk position in St. Paul. I believe this is a contract, a 4-month contract to hire, and the pay is based on experience. So I sent everybody that. Then there was a desktop position and it looks like this is with a Diversant, 18 to 22 an hour. They need some people to support LaserJet printers and laptops and desktops in a field dispatch environment. They want experience with servers working in the field dispatch. Looks like you're going to do some driving, fingerprint background check, previous break fix a workstation server. Monday through Friday, 8 to 5 with a potential overtime. Phone screen will be required. I don't know. That position might be okay. It looks like it's going to be a lot of driving. One thing I wanted to do was talk about the difference between, I think it was an engineer and an admin. That's one thing I want to cover. When an engineer usually designs a network, kind of like those Cisco guys I was talking about, and then an administrator, system administrator, they might do a little bit of design, but what they do is they might be using things like PowerShell to keep things automated and whatnot. But for the most part, a system administrator will administer the network. They're not usually the person that designed it. However, most engineers can be a system admin. You know, if you could design a building, I'm pretty sure you could administer that building as well. So that's one thing. And also, I always recommended people to use OneDrive, and then I'm going to tell you why. What I'm going to do is I want to show you guys what everybody should be doing if they have not been doing it. But I believe I have Teamviewer on my phone. All right. So let me just activate Teamviewer real quick. And then for all you that do not have Teamviewer on your phone, and you can see this right now, Caesar. Caesar, you there? Hello? Hope I didn't mute you. Caesar, can you hear me?
Oh, no, sorry. I was muted. That's why.
You were what?
Yeah, for TeamViewer, I just loaded up on my phone. Is it just on the store?
Yeah, it should be on the Google store. So I was just going to show everybody a remote session, what it would look like. So I'm opening up TeamViewer Quick Support. That's what I installed. So you know, if you install TeamViewer Quick Support, what you're going to see is going to be a little ID on your phone. So you'll see, I'll actually take a screenshot and throw this on Slack before I load this up, just so everybody can see it. Okay, so let me go to my phone, and this is going to be something that you guys are going to tend to see in the workplace. You know, you download the Quick Support app, the TeamViewer Quick Support app. It's going to give you an ID, just like you're logging into any laptop. I recommend everybody to work with each other and try every single solitary feature that you could possibly try with TeamViewer. Okay, so now it's going to ask you, do you want to allow remote support? So I'm going to go ahead and take another screenshot of that. Okay. And then I'll take one more screenshot just to throw it up on Slack a little later. But now you see this. Now, this is my phone at the home. Now let's just pretend, you know, you're out somewhere in Kuwait. As long as you have internet access, you know, you're good. So I guess when you're in the workplace, you want to kind of be a little mindful of, you know, let's say somebody has some crazy pictures or whatever, you know. Right here you see that my RAM is being 80% used. CPU looks kind of low. I don't know why that's so low, but you see everything everything you need. If you ever needed to know the IP address, this is the IP address. If I were to ping this on my network right now, I probably would get a response. My SD card, you see that my device storage, I need to move some stuff over to my SD card. The battery's good. The temperature is pretty good. Then you go back to remote control. You could also take a screenshot. I could request a screenshot of what's going on. Let's say somebody has an error or something. I can see all my apps. I can uninstall stuff. I could go to settings and see what Wi-Fi I'm on. But anyway, let's go back here. And as you can see, if I click on here, and I can just kind of move my stuff around, right? If you go here, you can see, well, let me go to mine. This is you can see that this is my Instagram, and you can see all of the different things like me. I'm promoting my book, I'm promoting my t-shirts, promoting the class, promoting all different types of stuff. But anyway, I'll close that. You can see all the different apps I got. I got Xbox in here. I got Facebook. As you can see, I even have my resume. If I pull up my resume, and this is the point that I want to say, either use OneDrive or use whatever. Now, for some reason, I don't know what happened, but it didn't pull it up. So I got a lot of y'all's resumes up in here. Because whenever a position comes through, you can't wait until you get back home. That's not what you want to do. You don't want to wait until you get back home. You know, you want to be able to respond to this stuff ASAP. So I'll send you guys over, you know, and I got little pictures and all types of stuff like that. But I mean, you know, this is a remote control. So now you're going to see what they call mobile device management, such as AirWatch. AirWatch is a mobile device management software. You can put mobile device management, remote support with mobile device management on your resume right now. Just by doing this. This is something you'll do at work. This is experience. You could say that you've done this. And if you have any call center experience or like you, Caesar, remote support experience, there's a lot of different things in this class that you could say that you did, whether you are at work or not, you know. And you could say that you use Teamviewer for it. So this is just an example, you know, of what you could do with Teamviewer. Now I'm going to go ahead and get out of here. And it's just that simple. It's real quick. So I'll just close it. You know, and that's why I always employ people, because most of the stuff you're going to be dealing with is a lot of remote support. When it comes to OneDrive, I always tell people to get OneDrive and also have Google Drive so you can keep your resume on hand. You know, you have Microsoft Suite, Word, and all of that stuff, PowerPoint. You put all that stuff on your phone. So you need to make some quick adjustments to, you know, to your resume. You at work or whatever, just run to the bathroom, or if they even allow you to mess with your phone or whatever, you know, you could find a little quiet, discreet place, just make some adjustments in there, save it, and you have everything kept on the cloud. Nobody doesn't need to know your business. It ain't none of their business. You know, if you're thinking about moving around and doing some other things, it ain't a good idea to tell people, you know. But what I'm saying is, you know, you want to keep your resume or anything that you may need that needs to be readily available in the cloud. So that's just something real quick. I wanted the little piece of game I want to give y'all. Also, third-party managed service contracting. You have a situation like I just told you about Thomson Reuters. If you go down here and you look at this position, the client is Thomson Reuters. Now, this company here, Javin Technologies, they do a lot of work. They're over there in Bloomington. 9 times out of 10, it may not be direct with Thomson Reuters. It may be this company here to IBM, which is the managed service company that will do IT support for Reuters. But it could just be Javin Technologies and then Thomson Reuters. But what I'm seeing a lot is you're seeing companies such as Best Buy that will have IBM or like a major managed service company. Why? Because they don't have to pay 401k. They don't have to pay benefits. You know, whoever has that contract, like this will be your place that would actually write the check. And then from time to time, the managed service company, which will be the middleman in between Thomson Reuters, it might have been where the managed service company, they want to recruit people. So they're not going to do it. They're just going to tell Javin Technologies, we'll give you guys X amount of money. So you see how the money trickles down. You got Reuters, Javin Technologies, then you got the managed service company, if there is one in fact. So these guys right here, Javin, they're probably getting, I don't know, the contract is probably a $60 an hour contract. You're getting 22. Reuters is probably paying IBM 40 or whatever the case it may be. And you're getting 22. So, but if you were really to look at the billing rate, if it's 3 different parties, if you got the recruiter, a managed service company, and then you got the corporation, 9 times out of 10, the corporation is just writing a big check to IBM. And then IBM is saying, hey, find somebody. And you got some dude from India here that's, you know, that maybe it may be 3 to 4 different positions that are open for this position here, you know. So that's something also to keep in mind. I'm just letting you guys know, because a lot of times people won't tell you that. You know, they're not going to tell you, you know, how much the contract and how much it's really worth. I mean, they're not just getting $5. I mean, come on, they got to pay their light bills and stuff. They're not getting $5 a head. They're probably getting maybe 14, 15 an hour, and then you get 22, and then somebody else gets another piece of the change. But that's pretty much how it works. I'm trying to think of any other positions that came up. There's a lot of positions that when I hear about them, I just let you guys know. I don't know if you've messed with McKeego yet, but it looks like I could get this on Google Play as well. I'm going to go ahead and try to install the Windows download and see how this works. If anything happens with the...
So is Mikogo also the same as Teamviewer? Is it also a viewing app?
In a sense. Now with this one, they're saying that there's no downloads. It's just a browser feature for screen sharing. So I'm trying to think if I ever tried it. I don't know. I figure what we'll do is we'll just go ahead and try it and see what happens. How do I move this over? So what happened? Is it installing?
So is it a browser-based only then application that's used? Would that be used by like smaller companies then?
More so. It probably would be smaller companies. It looks like you could do a lot here. You could do remote control, video conferencing, view meetings with a mobile app, session recording. It looks similar, but I don't think this company is as big as Teamviewer. But I think there's some places that do. Okay, so here we go right here. So now it's asking for a password. So, and I guess this is me being a presenter.
I could go ahead and try to download it and let you take over my computer if you want.
Okay, cool. So I think what you
I'll look it up on Chrome real quick.
I don't think you even have to download anything. I think it's just browser based. I think what I could do right here. Oh shoot. What I just do. I don't know what happened, man. It just disappeared. Well, let's see what happens here. It says join session, joining a desktop session. Okay, so this is what you gonna have to do. I think you just go here, go McKeego, and then you just join a session, which I'm gonna have to give you through your browser. So let's take a look and see what happens. Now, here's the thing. If this starts giving us problems, I'm going to shut it down because it could be sharing one of those protocols, which is likely RDP or some other protocol and port. So I don't know what happened to it, but let me log in and see what happened. Okay, I'm logged in. Let me see. Yeah, this is really weird. Okay, let me double click and see what happened. I think I must have closed it on accident. Okay, here, so we're back. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and start a session. So I'm starting a session. Okay, so, all right, so what you do is, can you still hear me?
I can still hear you. I'm looking at it, so that's going to be the session ID.
Yeah, you just go ahead and go to McKeego.com and then type in this session ID that I'm sharing with you, and we'll see what happens. If it starts acting funky, I'll just close out of McKeego because I'm assuming that it's going to give me some issues based on the fact that we could be sharing a different protocol. Hold on 1 second, okay?
Yeah.
I can't work. Hello?
Yeah.
Hello? Can you hear me? Okay. All right. So, have you got to the browser?
Yeah, I did. I just pressed enter on it, just seeing what it says now. Here. All right, so it should join now.
Okay, let's see what happens. Hope it don't kick us off.
I hope it doesn't here, because I put join session. It's 050-299/667. Run Mikogo down. Okay. Here, it's doing the load right now. I'll go ahead and get this started right now.
I wonder what happens. This would be.
Yeah, so it's the launcher right now.
I'm gonna actually go here on my phone to see what it does too. See, these are nice little testing things that you could do.
Yeah, this is nice because then we could see. All right, so it says here it's connecting to session, and I think it'll let you.
All right, so you join the session. All right, now see what I'm going to do. I'm going to put the session ID in and put in 050-299-667. Now, for everybody that's watching this video now, or that will be watching this video, me and Caesar are connected via McKeego. We're still on the freeconferencecall.com session, which is good. And I'm just going to put in join session and see what happens. Maybe it's going to take a little time for the cell phone. Okay, now you're pointing, so what is
I'm
so
pointing on your screen? Am I pointing?
Well, I see like a I seen like a
red dot, right? Or like a red
it was a red arrow, so I'm not really sure exactly.
So do you see my screen then?
I don't, but I believe, let me see. Yeah, I don't see yours. Now I got control, and then you could be the presenter.
I think I have to be the presenter, yeah.
Let's try this and see. Go ahead, what'd you say?
I think you have to switch it because it won't let me change the presenter. I think you're the one who's in charge of everything because you're in control. So I think change the presenter down to me, and then you'll have access to my screen.
Oh, now look at this here. Now, what I'm able to see, let's see how this looks. Okay, now it's slow on my cell phone, but I could see us presenting on my cell phone. Now, what I'm going to do, I'm just going to go ahead and close out of that part. It looks like I'm still connected. I don't know. I'll just leave it alone. But let's just see if I can make you the presenter. And
okay, and then it gives me a screen that says, "Do you accept?" And I
just accept yes. It. Mhm.
Switching presenter. Here, and the control is on your side. I wonder if I can give you control and presentation. So is it on my screen now?
Yeah, definitely.
Okay, look at that.
It's doing it again. It's making a whole bunch of little ones. See, that's why I told everybody to let's go ahead and click out of this before we have some problems. But this right here, what's happening to Caesar is that's that Leonardo DiCaprio Inception ordeal. That's what's going on. Having McKeego running with the freeconferencecall.com, they're probably talking on the same protocol. And the way that we can try to verify that is, let me just find out. Freeconferencecall.com protocols. Let's just see. Maybe they might have this information. They might not. Under the reference guide. It might be on the reference guide right here. I mean, it's kind of neither here nor there. But under Teamviewer, you will, if you want to look up and see. Let's see if we can just find some ports. Is there a port? Oh, there's a bunch of ports. What about protocol? Let me look that up instead. Okay, so it looks like it uses VoIP, but what else? Maybe that's it, voice over internet protocol. You know, maybe that could be it. But anyway, that was an example, you guys, of ports probably being sharing, and the system probably gets confused, like, okay, you got too much going on here. I think what I'll do is for next week, we could talk more about layer 2 and 3 switches. Just look on the OSI layer and just know that switches do operate on layer 2 and also layer 3. Hopefully everybody's kind of, you know, memorized and understand how the OSI model is. One thing I wanted to mention is, you know, also the difference between business and system analysts. A lot of times it could be one and the same. A business analyst is a generic term, but a lot of times what you're doing is you're eliciting and you're gathering requirements and information from the executives and from different departments, and then you're conveying that information to tell the IT team, hey, look, this is what they're looking for, this is how they want this to work, and then you're going back and forth being a liaison in between like a bridge. And then what you'll also do is you could make recommendations on your own because you understand, you know, the technical environment. So they make a lot of money. Both of them do. Business analysts, you know, they make a whole lot of money. So that's something to consider. Like I said, the title is very generic. You know, once you get that title, you know, you could always throw it on your resume, and a business analyst could be doing anything. I mean, some project managers operate as them, where they do a little bit of both. But the BA is kind of buffered. This is what a PM told me from Dell. They said the BA is kind of buffered from the PM. Anything happens with the PM, if the project doesn't go right, the PM gets the blame, not the BA. The BA is just gathering information and talking to people, being a bridge. So when you ask somebody a question, you know, like sometimes you'll be at work, you're trying to get training, you're trying to get information, and you got some asshole that just doesn't want to give you the information. He's a bigot, whatever the case is. He just doesn't want to give you the information. But that don't work out with a BA. You have to give them the information. If they don't get the information, then they can't bring the information to the other party. And they just hold up the process. The PM may come in and say, hey, what's going on with this project? Oh, well, this jerk here, Mr. Jerk, doesn't want to give me the information for the requirements, and he's giving me a hard time. Well, now the PM calls a meeting and says, okay, what is this dude's deal? He's not going to want to withhold that information from you in that ilk. He's going to want to give that information up because the project has to move forward. One thing that I like to use is Belarc, and it's an auditing program. It's probably one of the best auditing programs that I ever used in my life. Hopefully it won't kick us off because I think it does a little bit of network. It might do something to the network real quick. If it does, then, you know, don't worry about it. We'll just jump right back on. You know, don't go away. Just stay here. So basically what it allows you to do is it allows you to pretty much see every single thing, an entire map on your computer. So I'll just go ahead and install it. You know, before, if I had issues with drivers or trying to install something, this is back in the hardware days, you know, a lot of times I had to go into the computer, I had to open it up, and I had to look at these little serial numbers and do all that. It might have been a situation where somebody wanted me to wipe out Windows 7 or Windows XP and reinstall it. I asked them, do you have your product key? No, I don't have it. And then now I got to go look for it and try to figure it out. If it's Dell, then I could just use an OEM disk. But, I mean, you know, who wants to go through all of that? I'll just skip this step right here for the local network, so it's not looking at my network. And I think what I'll do is I'll open it up in Firefox. We'll switch out our browsers a little bit. This is a tool that I've been using for years. When I first started out in the game, I found out about this somehow. Now, if you notice here, it says that we're in a work group. Here's my computer name. It's telling me that I'm using Windows 10 Enterprise. because as I told you guys before, I switched hard drives. All of that stuff that I used to be pulling up and showing you resumes and all of that, I still have some of that stuff in the cloud. But see, that's my prime example about the cloud. Look at what happened. I was using Pro Tools to record my podcast, and the thing is it started acting a fool. I said, well, I got a solid state disk sitting around the house. I didn't really have time to really go and get another 1 terabyte drive. I said, let me slap this in, and then I downloaded a 90-day evaluation Windows 10 Enterprise OEM, or not an OEM, but a ISO file, and I just burnt it, and I downloaded it, you know, and I just kind of booted it up and installed it on a solid state, which installed quickly, you know. But my other hard drive is outside of the computer. I got to hook that stuff up and get some things off of it if I may need it. Now, as you can see, I'm using a long-term servicing branch edition. I got a 2 gigahertz processor, hyper-threaded, multi-core, DVD burner, 120 gig solid-state drive. These are all my local user accounts. These are all the printers that's installed. You can see that I have 2 RAM slots, a total amount of 800 megabytes, which is 8 gigs. I want to upgrade and put another slot in there, and it even tells you the serial number of the memory. It tells you your bus adapters, virus protection, communications. You got your IP addresses. Here's all your drivers. You know, I mean, you can see that I have Virtualbox installed. Remember I told you before, when you install a virtualization software, it has its own Ethernet adapter, a virtual adapter, a logical adapter, not a physical adapter, but it looks at it as a physical adapter. You can see the MAC address. You can see the IP address. You see all these other controllers. You see Wi-Fi and Bluetooth and all of this. Then you go down here, you start seeing these hot fixes and these patches. Then you go down here and you see that I have Windows 10 Enterprise, and here's the key. Now, think about this. I used to spend countless hours and all this time trying to figure out what's in there. I said, you know, let me just run this, and I got my whole order to this computer. So the reason why I want to show you guys this is something you may not use, but you might use it. So it's Belarc. It's free. You could download you a free copy of it. It's one of the dopest pieces of auditing software I ever used. Another thing I did want to go through tonight, see what time is it now. I won't make it too long of a class, but there's one thing I wanted to go through about looking at different careers. And I wrote something up that I used from my last class before that I want to just bring this by you guys. And these were just kind of some things that I wanted to, you know, that I would consider when I was looking at different positions. And so what I did is I decided to just write up, let me minimize this a little bit. It's still loading. All of these different domains that I thought that were important if you're looking for another position. Salary, what is the total package? Is there any performance incentives? Referral incentives? And then I said yes or no. Commute, how far are you willing to drive? Is there work from home options? That's something I kind of opt to want to have. Culture, is this a collaborative environment? What was the vibe of the first interview? I'm a person where, you know, I'm able to kind of decipher people right away within 30 seconds of meeting them. If they're giving me a shabby handshake or something like that, you know, I mean, it doesn't necessarily mean that the team will be like that, but sometimes you could just tell right off top. You know, I had a guy one time that didn't want to shake my hand. You know, he was a racist. He just didn't want to. I knew that if I work here, I'm gonna have some serious problems, and it's gonna be more problems than you know, rather than me just stay where I'm at or just keep looking. Another thing is, how is the hours? What's the work-life balance? Is this a place where you feel like it's a mule? Is it 50,000 calls a day? Is there any flexibility? Me, I don't like environments where I'm just taking 100,000 calls, because I felt like a lot of places like that, they tend to not really focus heavily on root cause analysis. You know, if you have a lot of root cause analysis going on, you shouldn't have that many calls. That means that there's some solutions that's not being crafted here. What are the benefits? The benefit salary package. It includes 401k, life insurance, health. Is it PPO health? Is it HSA health? I mentioned commute again. I need to revise this because I don't need that. Growth. Is there room to grow every 2 years? Are they open to data and analytics? I was always told you should switch your position every 2 years. You don't got to switch the job. Now, if there's a better job that you think will be a little better, then take it. And don't feel bad about it. They'll hire someone else. You want to be able to diversify your portfolio in a time like this, especially with automation coming. Certification. I say you should earn a cert once a year, if not more. Do they pay for the training and voucher? Going back to constant complaints or requests. Is this a position where there's high volume and nonstop tickets where it just feels like you'll never get a break? Specialization. Is there room for you to become a subject matter expert? Is there a piece of technology you can own? Something like VMware, something like Splunk, some type of cybersecurity tool or something. Your cover letter. I always said it should be, it shouldn't be a novel. It should be focal and summarized. Your resume should convey specific and a clear path you plan to attain. Avoid a lot of jargon and irrelevance. Thank you cards. Every interview, I recommend people buy a thank you card the night before your interview. And once you get the names of the people you're interviewing, especially if you have multiple names, I'd mail it right after the interview. Get you some stamps, because the thing is a lot of people won't send any thank you cards, and they'll remember you for that. The interview process. I always recommend people to have 5 pinpointing questions to make the employer think and be challenged. Be defined but clever. Technical groups, like I always tell everybody to join. Join meetup groups for cutting-edge software, Splunk, App Dynamics, PowerShell, cybersecurity. And then what is your goal? Your professional and your personal goals. Property, wealth management, 401k, mutual funds, LLC businesses. What about a legacy? What are you leaving to your children? Our children shouldn't have to grow up like how we grew up. That's, just basic logic. What are your professional and personal goals? Do you have those? Those are questions that you'll have to, write down. And see, this is a list. And see, anything that I do, anything that I look at, I have a list. I have a list of the objectives, and then I'm looking at the objectives. They meet one or two qualifications. There is no in between. Is this a constructive objective, or this is a non-constructive objective? There's no in between. And, based on that concept, that's how I kind of look at a lot of different things, especially when it comes to resolving issues. You just follow the logic, and you'll figure it out. Now, this is something that I could throw up on Slack, which I'll probably end up doing. So that's one thing I wanted to share. I think what I'll do for Server 2016 in regards to AWS next week, I think I'll have everybody on the line so I can install and show everybody the DNS, DHCP, what the scope looks like, Active Directory, install some of them server roles, and show a little bit about group policy. This stuff is not on the exam. Group policy ain't. But DNS and DHCP, maybe a little bit about scope, the roles, they might have that on there. Another remote software, I'm not going to go through it, but I advise everybody to download a trial of Bomgar. And the reason why I say that is because the simple fact, they changed up the website a little bit, but Bomgar is a remote technology. They didn't made it to, they call it Beyond Trust now. So I'm thinking there might have been some type of acquisition. So go ahead and get you, let me open up Slack. Where's Slack at? Where's Slack? Okay. This is something that everybody should try. Let me throw it up on Slack right now. Because Bomgar is an enterprise remote software. Pardon me?
No, I was going to ask exactly what Bomgar did, but you just said it. So.
Yeah, it does. Now to see, you could log into Linux devices and Mac. Before you could do Windows and Mac, but now you could do iOS, Android, network devices in one tool. So just do a little trial of that, because you could also put that on your resume. And then all this other stuff they do, I mean, if you were to buy it, it's pretty expensive. But I believe I was using this over there. I was at Ameriprise Financial, and I was using it over there. I believe I used it at AIG. I'm pretty sure I did. But it does pretty much the same thing. It's just like the corporate enterprise. You know, the big dogs, the big billion-dollar people, the people that could blow off, $20 million and piss it in the wind. Like I was saying, I was at a company, I won't say where, but they had, I believe it was Azure, or it was AWS. I think, as a matter of fact, it was Azure, and they had like a volume licensing deal or something. They spent like 100 racks per month, and they weren't even using it at all. At all. They didn't even put it together. But that tells you how much money a lot of these places, they'll write off. One thing that I was going to recommend is everybody, as you seen last week with Angelina, play around with Wireshark, install that and try to capture you some packets. Watch a couple videos on YouTube about Wireshark so you can kind of see what this stuff means and just how to use Wireshark a little bit. Spend about a half hour or so, and if it's something you're really into, write up a little. Another thing you could do, if you learn how to do something, if you learn how to use a tool, and this is something that I've done in my last classes, but not everybody's done it. If you know how to use a tool, such as whatever it is, Wireshark, Teamviewer, any of this, AWS, take some screenshots and create some documentation. You could say that you did documentation. And I can help you with the wording on how that'll look on a resume. We've already done the Mikogo remote support. The Information Security Stack Exchange, we covered that before, the DMZ North and South Korea ordeal. So you guys, when you type in DMZ under the Slack search bar, you'll see all of the things that I posted for DMZ. I posted that a couple times. Let's see real quick if I can just install using Teamviewer. Now, as you can see, I'm going to do new. And I am going to choose a Linux distribution, but I'm not exactly sure which one. So let's go into here, and under Explorer, let's go to Downloads, and let's see what ISO file. Let's look for something big. Okay, there we go. So we got Ubuntu, threats found. What happened here? I must have turned off my firewall. You see that I downloaded the ISO file of Lubuntu. Lubuntu is smaller than Ubuntu. So let's call it Lubuntu. Let's give it a name. Okay. And we'll just leave it at 64-bit. That really doesn't matter. Now, I'll give it maybe 1.3 gigs. Create a new hard disk. Recommend. They said it's 10 gigs. Well, let's look it up. What is the recommended requirements for Ubuntu? And see, that's the beauty of Google. When I started off in the game, they didn't have all this. So we had Yahoo, but it wasn't like this. I mean, you really had to get it out the mud once you started. Now here we go. Under a wiki document, I still use wiki. Some people don't like this. It's a beautiful hummingbird. You can see here, of course, it's open source. Came out in April 2019. The 19.04 latest release. Looks like they had quite a bit of releases in the history. It's always good to check this out so you know. It's a lightweight Linux distribution based on Ubuntu using the LXQT desktop environment. All right. So somewhere it said something about the minimum system requirements, they said. So I don't want to read everything, so I'm just going to put in minimum. Let me see how many times minimum is 128 megs of RAM. Let's see if we find out more. Here they're saying 500 megabytes. So I mean, this should run pretty good. So we'll just give it 10 gigs on the hard disk. We'll go ahead and leave this as a VDI, which is a Virtualbox disk image. If we were to save it as a VHD or one of this, we'd be able to open it up in VMware if we wanted. But let's just go ahead and do this dynamically allocated, leave that alone. I'll give it about, I don't want it too big. Let's just give this, let's give it 12 gigs, because remember I only got 100 gigs on my solid state, and this should run pretty good. All right, so now, if you notice here, I put my base memory, and I can make it change. This is a virtualization software, just like VMware. You see, you could change the boot order. I don't typically mess with this acceleration. You always want your hardware virtualization to be VTX and AMD enabled, of course. Display, I don't mess with that. Audio, you see it has its own audio card. Network, this is on the test. Network address translation. You see? All right. So let's just leave that alone. What I'm going to do is I'm going to right click, and I think there's one other thing that I need to do, but I think it was under, it's not under here. Well, I think I'll just go ahead and start it. And it's just going to ask me for the ISO file that I saved under downloads, right? This is what I used to use starting off. Okay, so now here's the startup disk, so I'm going to go ahead and click this here. Go to downloads, and as we have is an AMD 64-bit, Ubuntu 1904 ISO file, which I downloaded before, and I'll click start. All right. So now with VirtualBox, what you have to do, mind you that I'm on my laptop. So in order to get to this, you want to click capture. And so now I'm selecting this. Now if I want to get back to my regular desktop, you got to press, okay, this is what I had before. See how this keeps on? You got to press control. So for some reason this is giving me a hard time, but I'm just going to go ahead and start Ubuntu. For some reason, this computer of mine was giving me a hard time running VirtualBox, and I don't know why. If you could see, I don't know if you've seen that on the screen, but it kept jumping up the mouse over to the upper left-hand corner. I don't know why it was doing that, and now it's doing it again. Something about maybe the BIOS settings ain't correct or something, but I don't remember changing any of that stuff. So it says here, I don't know why it's giving me a hard time, but we'll let that roll for a little bit. We'll minimize that. VirtualBox doesn't cost a dime. And like I said, you could install Windows 10 evaluation or server stuff depending on, I always like using AWS when it comes to server things, but the reason why I showed you guys VirtualBox on my local machine, now I can actually show you and prove that it does affect your performance. Now, thank God I got a solid-state drive. It's only running at 4%. Had this been my other drive in my other few classes before, it would have been up there like 60%, 70%, using all my hardware resources. Well, this is a solid state. This is why they tell people consider a solid state. No moving parts. I mean, the perpetual motion is incredible. Now, my memory I need to upgrade. That's still being used at 72%, and you can see that. And if we want to look at the processes, we'll tell you exactly what's using it. I mean, free conference calls using 14% of my CPU space. Chrome uses a lot of system memory. We had almost a gig right there. Let's kick this out a little bit. I mean, you know, the video uses quite a bit. Video is intensive, 16%. So your memory is one of the system resources is being heavily used now. So now I ask that question. If you were to upgrade, what would be the first upgrade that you would consider looking at these metrics? I would upgrade the memory. Now, before you've seen on my auditing through Belarc, you've seen that I had 8 gigs of memory. That may seem like a lot, but in fact it's not. Now, if I install one more 8 gig stick in my laptop, you'll probably see that this will go down because I have more resources. So what you're dealing with is, especially with virtualization, you're dealing with how many resources do you have. Now, the concept of the cloud, or I'll say the solution of the cloud. The solution of the cloud nowadays, you're not dealing with, you're still dealing with performance resources, but you got to pay for them if you want more. But the premise is, if you're using a browser to log into AWS or Azure, you're really not using too many system resources for that. That's on the back end. That's Microsoft or Google or Azure, or I mean not Azure, but or Amazon. That's their system resources. They pay for that. They pay for all of those hard drives in a data center. Now, of course, you have to pay, but I'm saying, like, look how fast this started. Now, this is Linux. This really, really looks nice. Now, for some reason, I think what it did is it just booted up as a live CD. So I think I can install it as well. Let's try to do an installation. But I believe this booted up just as a live CD. It's thinking like, okay, this is a CD. The ISO file, that image file that I saved on my local hard drive, it's almost like it's streaming it. But what I could do is I can install it. Now, if I go here and click next, and I think everybody should do this weekend. Like I said, this is the light version of Ubuntu. It's called Ubuntu. Okay, now what I'll do is I'm going to say, for my VM, it's going to erase the disk. What is my name? I'm just going to put Bagland DP under here. Password, I'm just going to put root. Most of the passwords for that is root. For Linux is root. So if you can remember root, partitions, it's just showing you what it's going to look like. And just click install. There you go. And it's going to install pretty quick, I would say. Much faster than if you use Ubuntu. But a little story to just tell everybody. A lot of times when, you know, like I started out doing my IT internship at the Crystal Ray Jesuit High School back in 2008. You know, still didn't have no degree or nothing. I did like a little 3-4 month program at the Urban League. I was supposed to get an A+ there, but that didn't work out. That's neither here nor there. But anyway, what I did get is a 1-year internship. I started buying computers from this place called 3B Tech out in Hammond, Indiana. So what I do is I buy, this is back when you could make a little money off hardware. I would be working. I was only paid $10 an hour at the time. But I bought computers from 3B Tech, and I might get them for like $2 something. They had free shipping. So as soon as I buy them, it seemed like they'd be there 3 days. So what I did is I think I was doing computer repair, because around that time people wasn't doing all that type of stuff in the hood all like that. So I was the only one that was running around here, you know, handing out business cards, and I could wipe out your Windows. You know, I wipe out Windows XP for you and reinstall it for $100. Geek Squad was charging like $300. So people were like, okay, why do I want to go to Geek Squad? But that's, once again, if you don't know, you got to pay. It's like me trying to install a transmission in my car. I don't know how to do that stuff, so I'm going to pay for it. So I would go to people's homes. I'd pick up their computer, or I'd wipe it out. Wipe out, you know, get Windows XP back on there, throw AVAS antivirus on there. At that time, they had Open Office, or if they had Office Suite already, I'd throw that on there, $100. I do 10 of those. Okay, I got a rack. Then I said, okay, let me go get a car. I went on Craigslist. Went and got a bucket. Okay, so now I'm ordering, desktops from 3B Tech for $200 a watt. I'm letting them go for maybe like $325, $450, whatever. You know, once I started to learn how to install Linux, when people would have viruses on Windows XP, they would bring them back to me again, like, oh, I got another virus, because they was looking at porn or doing whatever. I'd say, look, how about I install Linux on here? Now, I know that once I install this, they ain't about to come back no more. And the reason is because most people make viruses for Microsoft. Everyone knows that. Linux, which you got an Apple phone, Apple Watch, that's Linux, that's Unix. They could still get a virus, but the chances is small. It's like most people that would use something like this on a VM or use this at home, Ubuntu, on their desktop, 9 times out of 10, they're not going to get a virus. It's pretty stable. So that means my money slows up. But the thing is I crafted a solution for them. So they're not running back to me or Geek Squad every time getting ripped off. You see what I mean? I wasn't ripping them off, but I'm saying, so that's how I kind of got in the game. I just started because I go to places like CompUSA, and it'd be some dude up in there, some dude would be like, oh man, you can't work here, you don't have the experience. Just excuses. I said, the hell with all this. So I'm about to create my own lane, and that's exactly what I did. I started handing out business cards, and then I had to kind of go through trial and error, people not wanting to pay, and once I started using Linux disk to unlock people's passwords, I started charging people $50. So I was doing all types of different stuff as opposed to people running off to Best Buy, and I was showing them how to use the computer. So I was adding a lot of value in the neighborhood. So but anyway, you guys should look at this Ubuntu. Let me see, where did I get that from? I think I'm gonna start using this in my next couple classes. Here it is. So you want to probably get the, I don't know, maybe the 64-bit version. It all depends. But this is something that I employ everybody to do if you got VirtualBox.
And is it just VirtualBox that you use then to put it on your computer right now then?
Yeah, if you could use VMware View, I think that's free, but VirtualBox don't cost nothing. So I say just watch the video, rewatch this, and get installed and just try it out. Because the point of it is I want to show y'all the command line a little bit in Linux and install in a VM. IE VirtualBox.
By any chance, do you have like an Excel sheet of like software that we're using in the class, just like with like the links to it and stuff, just like the recommended stuff? Because it's a lot of like different like little tools and stuff that we're using.
Most of it is probably in Slack, but the main list that I have is pretty much AWS. I might bring in an Azure VM sometime. I'm not sure, but really AWS, Teamviewer, VirtualBox, Ubuntu with this coming up. I'm trying to think. As far as software, one of the ones that we were going to use, okay, Wireshark, Bomgar, Mikogo, Belarc for show. I might show you guys some with Putty next week. Putty's basically, it's just a remote emulator based on what port is SSH port. It's just it's an emulator that allows you to remotely connect the switches and the cloud instances. Port 22 is what SSH runs off. So it's a cryptographic network protocol to secure over an unsecured network, and you use Putty for that. And all it is just a real lightweight software. It's for Telnet, and it's just, you see how clunky this website looks. It's just super basic, but all the big dogs use it. All the route, the network engineers and stuff like that, they all use Putty. And there's other ones you could use as well, but especially like WinSCP. I was using this when I was doing Citrix support for NetScaler. This pretty much is like a more or less like a FTP client, and you can see it's it's an open source FTP and client for Windows, so it allows you to do file transfer between a local computer. A lot of people use this, like I was using like Linux, opening up Linux scripts and stuff, and you just transfer stuff, but it's secure. It's a secure way to do it. Let me see where we at right here. Okay, so now look, we're going to go ahead and restart now and click done. We're back in the VirtualBox real quick. And now what it's doing is you can see the terminal. Well, not the terminal, but you can see all of this stuff down here. It wants to restart. Okay. So now I've installed Ubuntu in my local virtual machine. Okay, so it's not installed. Okay, that's why everybody needs to see Leonardo DiCaprio. What's that movie? I said Inception. Very important that everybody watches that movie that hasn't seen it, so you can understand the concept. I have my laptop right here, but I've installed Virtualbox, and then I've installed a Linux distribution in a virtual machine. So if you got a nice amount of hard drive space, nice amount of RAM, pretty good processor, you could have several virtual machines running. But once again, what are you dealing with? You're dealing with system resources of your local computer. This computer here, this is my local computer. So if I start opening up more virtual machines, well, you have to reckon that my memory would increase. You have to reckon that my performance would decrease. My CPU is going to work harder. My hard drive is going to work harder. Maybe even my video card's working harder. Maybe my network is working harder. If in fact I'm downloading a bunch of stuff, but I got my solid state drive, so it's running smooth. But I need me some more space for memory. Not hard drive space, but the lungs, the actual memory. So okay, now we'll go in here. Let me move this. Now it says, please remove the installation medium and then press enter. So now I'm going to press control. And what's going to happen is I'm probably going to go, and another thing you could do, you could take a snapshot if you want. Basically, it's just like a picture saying, okay, it's like you're playing a video game. All right, save here. You start beating up a bunch of guys, and you're playing a hack and slash game, and then you go over to this little statue, and it's like God of War or something. Okay, save here. So if you messed up a bunch of stuff, you could revert back to where you were at. That's what the snapshot is. So maybe we will take a snapshot. But first, it's telling me to remove my medium, which is the ISO file. So it's assuming I have a CD, right? So I'm going to press enter. Or I press the space bar accidentally. It's rebooting like a real machine. Everybody be careful. Everybody watch this and look at this concept. That's virtualization for you. Now, in the cloud domain, Azure, AWS, all of that, what's happening is this is what's going on, what you see. In the back end, that's kind of what's happening in like one of these little data centers that you may go to, right? So once this starts up, I'm going to do a couple Linux commands, and I'll probably get ready to call it a night. We'll cover how this is going. Let me see. We'll cover for next week. First we'll cover any questions, and we'll ask everybody how did they feel about going to the BitCon volunteer if they went. And anybody that missed this, they could watch this video. And then, we only got about, after tonight, we only got 3 more classes. But I might throw one more class in there just for, we might bring in some more guest people, and we might do some more things because I just got back in contact with our recruiting firm, and she moved out to Atlanta, but I think she still got connections out to people here. So based on, what positions people may be looking for, once we get your resume reviews back, then what I'm going to do is I'm going to say, hey, look, make some of these changes to your resume, add some of these things you learned in the class. We could just get the process started and send you some of your resumes over, and then you can start interviewing with the recruiting firm. And if they have something, first we want to find out what you're looking for. That's the first, because we want to make sure that when we send people over there, they're open to the roles that they may have. So that the first thing we want to do is we want to have a discussion with everybody. What's the rate you're looking for? What type of position you're looking for? Are you open to contract to hire? Whatever the case may be. And then we could kind of just send you over. And I'll just keep sending you guys roles that I get. I'm coming from a guide standpoint more than anything. I think next week what we'll do is, like I say, I think I'll do a quick little server 2016 installation with DNS, DHCP, scope, Active Directory, and group policy. And then I'll ask if everybody, Have you guys been working with each other, you know, trying out these remote technologies? And then we could probably just go into resume review. I say just go ahead and knock out the next 4 chapters by next Thursday. Take notes. Got any questions? If there's any heavy subnetting stuff, you know, send that information to me. I'll get over to Angelina. All right, now here, let's go back to VirtualBox. I'll put in my password, which was root. And as you can see, I've already installed Lubuntu. Now it says something about power management. I won't worry about that now, but let me maximize that. Now we're in a virtual machine now. So what I want to do is, okay, I haven't used this one before. I want to get to the terminal so I can just show you guys some stuff. Well, let's type it up. Where's the terminal? Okay, so when you open up the terminal, they call it Q terminal. Usually, when you type in dir, I'll type in clear, but when you type in dir in the command line in Microsoft operating systems, it will give you the listing of the directory. Now, when you type in dir here, it does the same, and ls also does the same. So if you want to, for example, get rid of all this, you can press clear. That's a command. Okay. Now, let's say I want to list it again. Now, let's say I want to do what they call a change directory. So I could do change DES, and I think if I press tab, no, that doesn't do anything. Let me see if I can change the, okay. But CD does a change directory, but I think I'm trying to get into a different, what they call in Linux, a different shell. I can't remember. It's been a while. But what you can do, some of the basic stuff, you want to clear it out, you could do clear. I think you could do help. So it shows you a lot of stuff for that. Different commands. ipconfig does not work, okay, with Linux. It says, did you mean iwconfig, ifconfig? So it's ifconfig. Wait a minute. Usually it works for ifconfig. Okay, so the tool's not there, but it says it could be installed by putting in NetTools. So it's telling you, I don't have this tool, but what you can do is you could put in sudo -apt -install NetTools. Now it's asking for the root password. Now, I just happen to name it root, but when they mean root password in Linux, they're talking about root password. Okay, so now what it does is it starts building the dependency tree, opening up packages. What it's doing is it's just doing a basic installation. But there's a lot of stuff in the background. All right, now, let me press clear again. Now, press up, ifconfig. There you go. It didn't have the network tools to tell you what the IP address is, and now you can see my IP address for this virtual machine, for this Linux distribution, this installation, is 10.0.0.2.15 with a net mask of 255.255.255.0, and 9 times out of 10 when they main broadcast are talking about the default router, right? So that's how you get an IP address in Linux. Now, what you also could do, I believe, is do an ifconfig all. Let's see how that works. Nope, that didn't work. So maybe you got to do all like that. Okay, that didn't work either. ifconfig. Let's do help. See what other. Well, we don't know. So how do you do an ifconfig all in Linux? What is equivalent? And see, it tells you right here. What is equivalent terminal command to ifconfig all or ipconfig all? Linux. We want Linux. All right, here we go. So for Unix operating systems, ifconfig is used to configure or view the configuration of the network interface. So ifconfig There we go. ifconfig A. Okay. I haven't done this in a while. Forgive me. Let's clear this out. ifconfig -A. There you go. So now you get to see the same equivalence to ipconfig/all in Microsoft technologies. Now, with Linux distribution, we're going into the terminal, which is equivalent to the command line. We're saying we want to see all of the network configurations as opposed to just ifconfig. Nowadays, to be, if you want to be a well-versed system administrator and system engineer, you want to have some Linux down. That's pretty important, if you're interested. And actually, I think Linux people, they make a lot of money too. So, but that's what I want to share. So what I'll do is I'll just go ahead and shut this down. And that's Virtualbox with your Linux distribution. I'll put this in Slack for those that are interested. How to see network devices in Linux after installing bam. And while I'm at it, I think I'll just throw a couple more pictures up in Slack. So do you got any questions so far, Jose or Caesar? I don't know why I said Jose. That was my last. My bad. I said Jose. No, there was a dude named Jose that was in my class, man. My bad.
I'm in the middle of downloading stuff also, just because I don't know. I think you've already had your software on there, so I'm just trying to frantically get it all loaded also. But yeah, I'll just walk through the lesson throughout the virtualization box and stuff. But no real question.
Okay. Yeah, just like I said, everybody just go to the next 3-4 questions. Nah, that's crazy. I said Jose. You be like, who you calling Jose?
I don't Steve at work when I say Caesar, so I don't really care.
You said some people be saying that at work?
Yeah, it's the way it goes. Like you said, some workplaces, they like to tick your buttons. There's a certain group of people that really like to call me out of name, so you know how it is. Like you said, in the IT world.
Yeah. Yeah, you mess around, you catch them on a bad day, they say something too crazy, man. You might have a recording, might have you a lawyer and never have to work again. They keep playing with you like that. I'm telling you. And see, I actually, on my first, cause I'm writing another book. Yeah, but I don't know if you read the first one, but I have a whole chapter on breaking that down on how to deal with that. Now, this next book's going to be a trip. Might be even get me in a little trouble, but hey, we already in trouble anyway, so who cares? But no, this next one, I'm going hard. I'm going super, super hard. I'm going ins and outs, dealing with codification, dealing with, how to deal with certain things in the workplace. Matter of fact, after I get off the line, I'm gonna send you a quick video you should watch tonight, and it's about dealing with the workplace, and then how you use the Constitution. A lot of people don't know that the Constitution applies to everything. It doesn't just apply to, and it's based off of the 5th and the 13th Amendment. I can't remember which ones, but I'm gonna send it to you, and especially for us, it's this. When you listen to this, it's gonna blow you away. You probably gonna keep listening to this dude, but you probably never heard nothing like this before in your life. But it's real simple logic. It's real super simple. But I'm gonna send it to you and email it to you after I get off the line and stuff. But yeah, you gotta. When you're dealing with the workplace, man, you have a lot of people in there. They come into the workplace with that attitude, and they want to give you a hard time because they know they can, and they know that it's designed for them to do just that. So that's the reason why they do it. They do it because they know they can do it, and most of the time they tend to get away with it. But every now and then, with a lot of stuff I've been learning, lately, I got to remind them that, you're dealing with somebody that's focused on logic here. So, it's one of them type of things where, especially in this field, you stepping into, especially in the corporate world, it's just part of the territory. But, what is this here? Gold Sim. Oh, that was my buddy. He texted me and stuff. I got this program. Speaking of which, I got this program, right? It's called, now I don't know if I sent it to you before, but it's called Mighty Text, and it allows me to basically, let's say I need to, instead of text you with my phone, it allows me to text through my computer, and it saves me a lot of time. And I just needed like one more referral. So let me just see here. Let me sign in and see what, and I'll let you go. But no, it's pretty dope. They had this one thing where, okay, tell friends. Okay, so how do I had something at one point in time where it was like all right, here we go. So referrals. So I had all these people that referred, and I need one more referral to sign up.
Oh,
so if you,
true.
Yeah,
Okay.
And you'll like it. So I'm gonna send it in this email, then I'll send you the other email. I'm gonna send it right now. And if you ever need conference info, everybody who's listening tonight, the conference info, I put it in as a signature on my email. So the conference info stays the same. It's always the same. And if you know somebody wants to apply for the class, they can apply right here too. And if they want to get down with Haystack, as I told y'all before, get your digital business cards going. So referral for Mighty Text. Okay, and then I'll send you the other stuff when we get offline. But yeah, everybody tonight, download Ubuntu. If you have an x86, that means 32-bit, or 64-bit. I like to use a 64-bit architecture. Download that ISO, install it, like how I said in VirtualBox. You guys got the video, so you can't say you didn't see it. You got the video, all right? Do that on your laptop, and play around with the command line. One thing about the Linux community is it's like the Salesforce community. They're not gimme, gimme, gimme. They're more like, let me give you, give you, give you. They want to give you the information and put the power in your hands. The globe is your robe. Uranus and Pluto is at your fingertips. That's how they feel about, giving out information. And they have a lot of documentation. They got a blog here. Like I said, I love this hummingbird. It's a damn shame they burning up the rainforest. But, every time I think about the rainforest down, I think about these hummingbirds. But anyway, everybody go to the next 3 to 4 chapters, knock those out. Email me with questions. Everyone should have some questions. If you have some questions, if you don't have any questions, I assume that you're an expert. So you have some type of questions and see if we could address them. I think everybody should consider the subnetting concepts. Type in subnetting in the search box. So download that Excel file that Angelina gave us. Check out Bomgar. Mess around with Teamviewer, the quick support app. You want to deal with the quick support app here. I'll show you where that is. Teamviewer, quick support on your phone. Because now what you could do is you could say that you have done this. Here's the app. Is this the app here? Teamviewer. I don't think that's the one. It's a quick support app. Teamviewer quick support. Y'all should be Teamviewered out. I don't know where it's at, but there's a quick support app somewhere on here.
Hey, when you get the chance, check if your referral went through, because I downloaded it and installed it on my computer. I just don't know if it went through because I don't have an Android.
Oh, you got iOS?
Yeah, iOS.
I don't know if it works on iOS. My brother had that same issue. It might, but let me see.
I'm gonna look into it.
Let me see here.
You can mass tweet to people I saw.
Yeah, you could do all types of stuff. And see, that's what I'm saying. I'll try to get everybody to sign up. And man, I'm about to ask everybody on here to sign up. Because I need me some referrals.
Yeah, just
because then I get it for free. You know what I'm saying? Like I get it as opposed to like having they give you like maybe 1,000 messages a month. Then I could get it just for a whole. Well,
yeah, I mean you use it for class anyway, so we might as well be putting in the referral.
Okay. All right. So yeah, if you guys got any questions, hit me up. I'm gonna go ahead and get this this video on YouTube ASAP. Thanks, man, for joining. I appreciate it. I'll see everybody next week.
All right. See you guys next week. Bye.
Take care. Peace.